Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the show. I'm your host, Walt Bayless, and today on the show, I have to say, I am super excited to be chatting to somebody who is traveling the world. In fact, he has suitcases in his background while we're talking. He's the CEO of Epic Entrepreneur Media, but that's not where he started. He's also the author of Funky Wisdom. He's the podcast host. He is the sales trainer, master coach, chef, and world traveler. He is now one of the top LinkedIn voices in the world. He has one of the highest subscriptions of his digital AI and lifestyle newsletter, and he is listed as a top contributor on LinkedIn. It gives me incredible pleasure, and I'm trembling with excitement as we bring on the chef, the man, the make money magnet that is Dennis Berry. Hey, man, thank you so much for joining us.
That was by far the most enthusiastic welcome I've ever received in my life.
Dude, I had to trim that down. There's so much here on your bio, on your history. I could have kept going like for the whole episode and just read off your stuff. Now, dude, you started life as a chef. Like you got out of school, you were like straight into the kitchens.
Yeah, so I'm 52 years old. So if we go back almost 35 years when I graduated high school, and I went up to the mountains to be a skier. And I did some ski racing / ski bums / crazy party guy.
Right.
And that went on for like about 8 or 9 years. And but it was kind of a destructive lifestyle. It was a little crazy. I went to culinary school. I did all the chef restaurant stuff for a long time. But as you might imagine, with the ski and the party and the chef, and I was stoned pretty much for 15 years straight.
Wow.
And but it took its toll on me. And then eventually in 2003, I had to get sober. I was like dying physically, financially, no relationships. My whole body was falling apart. I was like, I'm trying to do, what do we do? Pounds or kilos? I was like,
both are working.
Yeah, I was like 240 pounds. Now I'm like 175. It depends if I'm eating chocolate or not. And
right.
So my whole life changed so much over the last 30 years. Like it was worth a book. So I was like, I had like that book that you gave me an intro to. I didn't plan on writing a book. I was just like, I would go on long walks with the dog and listen to inspiring podcasts. And this was like, like 10 years ago. And YouTube videos, like all these inspiring people, and I was like, wow, that's really inspiring, because I was doing my growing up journey in my 30s and 40s, and I would write down these notes on the phone, and then all of a sudden I had like 100 pages of notes, and I was like, I should put these in a book. And so I started doing that, and then that's how the book came about.
I love it. I love it. So cool. So, dude, as you're saying you grew up late, which I love that quote from you. And now I think your catchphrase is there: over communicate, nail the details, and have fun. And I just love that. I think that like your transition then. So you've gone from the chef, you've gone from the party lifestyle, ski bunny up in the snow, chasing the good time. You got yourself into a serious position. You've turned around and become like a serious coach to be held up into the world in one of the top entrepreneur voices in the world. But you went through this period where you were in sales, and you got the whole sales management and sales experience kind of background. How did that happen? How did you go from the kitchens, from the hustle and the bustle of the grill, all the way into putting on a tie and doing the sales thing?
Great question. So it went from the kitchens. My first adult job, quote unquote, that's what I call it. It was 25 years ago, and it was at Cisco Food Service. And the reason was they hired me not because of my sales or anything else other than I was a chef. So I know how to speak to chefs.
Nice.
So then they hired me in that respect, and then they taught me sales. And so I started learning. I remember at Cisco is 25 years ago, it was a $26 billion company. And we had 6 weeks of training. And that first day, I walked in there and I started learning right away. I was like, this is what I need to do. I knew that I needed to do sales, business, marketing, like everything there. And I really sunk myself into it. And I spent a few years there, and I still wasn't sober yet. And I learned so much, not just about sales, but about relationships, about how businesses work. And it was during that time actually that when, because I worked a lot, you know, and it wasn't a glamorous job. Sales really is hardly ever very glamorous. And especially restaurant sales. So I would have to go to restaurants and, you know, I'm like looking in the dumpster to see what they order. I'm like,
Wow.
so I could try to sell them my version of that
Right.
fryer cooking oil or my toilet paper or this or that and all this stuff. And uh, I was out there working 60, 70 hours a week, and it was like putting in the hustle, and maybe I was making like 80 grand a year.
Mm.
And I would go back to the office and I noticed that my regional and district sales managers were sitting in their nice offices and they were wearing their nice ties and jackets, and they had the air condition and they had pictures of beaches on the wall. And I was like, I want pictures of beaches on the wall. And they were working like half as much as me and making 3 times as much money as me. And I
Right.
was like, something's clearly wrong here. And then I realized that Cisco was a $26 billion company and I was only making like 80 grand. I was like, I want a shot at the big nut. I
Wow.
want to shot at that whole thing. And that's really when my entrepreneurial journey began. What happened was I ended up losing that job from a drinking related thing. Uh, we don't have to go into it. We could spend the whole episode on that. But I had a really bad car accident where I almost died. And so I had to sign a return to work agreement saying I wouldn't drink anymore, which of course I signed it, but I couldn't not drink anymore. And so I ended up losing that job, which propelled me into rehab for 30 days. And I'm giving you the 30-second version
Yeah,
of
no, this is great.
a much longer story. Yeah, actually, they gave me a bunch of back commissions, said, sorry, we have to let you go because of this. And I went on a bender to try to kill myself with drugs and alcohol subconsciously for about 10 days. And that was March 27th to April 8th. And then I ended up in a rehab on April 10th of 2003. I've been sober ever since.
So
And so
that
my,
literally turned you around. That rehab set like completely
well, you
changed
know,
the
it's
frame.
funny. That's a great question too. And for people that are listening that are struggling, and I did a lot of addiction recovery coaching for a long time. Codependency, worked with a lot of teens. I did a lot of that stuff over the last 20 years as well. And people always say that, you know, oh, it was that rehab that fixed it. But, you know, we always have to remember when you see somebody who's sober, it wasn't their first attempt, likely not
Yeah.
their first attempt.
Yep.
You know, 90 whatever percent, it was like 100 attempts before they got to
Yep.
that one that
Yep.
you see. Just like the 1% in business. You know, when
It's
we
never the
start a
first
business,
swing.
yeah, I mean, being an entrepreneur is just about the hardest thing in the world outside of maybe a relationship and parenting. It's
Mm.
the hardest thing in the world to do is to build a stable, profitable business. And we start here at 1 and we have to go to 10. And right around 2, it gets hard.
Mm-hmm.
Some people make it to 4 or 5, but most people quit by then. Very few make it to 9 or 10. And those are the 1%. Those are the ones we hear about, we see on the news, with the ones that sell their $1 billion app on Instagram. Those are the ones that stick it out. You know, it's not always necessarily that they're smarter or better than we are. They just didn't quit. You know, and it's the same thing with getting sober, same thing with your relationships. Like when we see those long-term relationships of 50 years, you're like, how did they do it? They didn't quit. Back then, there wasn't divorce. They didn't quit. They just stuck it out and you find a way through. And so life is a lot of that. You know, you got to have grit to
Do you
do
think that
everything.
do you think that's like a choice that people make day by day? Like thinking about the entrepreneur who's got a, you know, maybe it's their first swing, you know, and you step out, you get lucky, you build an audience and build a brand and make $1 million. It's a rare story, but it happens often enough to inspire everybody else to have a shot. But do you think that that's a choice that the entrepreneur, the relationship, the professional sports athlete, like anybody who's achieving at those high levels, do you feel like that's a choice they consciously make on a regular basis?
That they're going to be successful?
That they're not going to quit, that this is it?
Yeah. Well, you know what? My favorite speech was from Steve Jobs, and he's really one of my entrepreneurial heroes. He wasn't a great human. I don't know if like who studied him a lot, and he wasn't a very favorite human being, but it's hard to argue with his success.
Mm.
But one of his speeches, which he was on some show in the 90s or 80s or 90s, He's like, you know, people say you need to be passionate about what you do, and it's so true. And the reason is because it's so hard. It's really, it's so hard. And the difference between the ones who make it and the ones they don't, or that the ones that made it, they love what they did. So if you're not passionate about what you're going to do, and you have to do it over a long period of time too. So if you're not passionate about it, you're going to quit as soon as it gets hard. Maybe a little bit, like I said, maybe 3, 4, you'll make it to 5, but eventually the passion is what pulls you through. So you
Mhm.
can make that decision that I'm not going to quit, but it needs to piggyback on your passion.
Yeah. Yeah, for sure. I
Right. So
saw one of your posts on Instagram. You had that picture of a clock, 5:30 in the morning, and the green and the red. And the people that hate their jobs are like, "Oh no, it's 5:30." And the people who love what they do are like, "Yeah, let's go." It's just, it's a choice, and it is a passion because it's what makes you go, "Let's go, let's go again, let's go again." If you love it. When people come to you, so you've moved kind of out of the coaching space now, Dennis, as I understand, and like, focusing on Epic Media, getting all that, getting that branding and helping people through. Do you find people still coming to you and you slipping into that coach's role, talking to them about their journey and finding out, what their holdups are and all that kind of stuff?
that's another great, you're the best podcast host. You
Yes.
really are.
Yes.
But
I got it.
no, I know, because we've both done hundreds of these things,
Yeah.
and you ask really great questions, and the answer to that is that they're not separate.
Yeah.
They're intimately connected. It's like if you're not working on personal development and managing your mindset, you're not going to make it. And if you make it, you might make money, but you're going to suffer in your health or your relationships or somewhere else. But they're intimately connected. In fact, so what I do is I do a lot of LinkedIn training and LinkedIn coaching. So that's like that's my main offering where a lot of my stuff comes. It's not my high ticket offer, which I could tell you about another time, but that's my main one. And it always starts with, as you might guess, as from any business perspective, a business plan, right?
Yeah.
So it's
Yeah.
like, what are we doing here? It rarely goes as planned, but you need to have a starting point in some direction, right?
Mm-hmm.
But we also need a vision plan.
Tell
And
me
I
about
give
that.
a vision plan. Yeah. And I can even share it in the notes if you want, but I have a
Yeah, I'd love
vision
it. Yeah.
plan outline. And it's the same thing as a business plan, but for your life. What's your vision? Why are we doing this? Why do we wake up and struggle with our health, relationships, and our finances for 5 to 10 years with no guarantee that we'll make any money on this business? Why are we doing that? So we need to have a clear vision. What's my mission statement? What's my summary? Like, what am I doing? What are my visions? If you can't envision it, you can't build it. Napoleon Hill talked about that in Think and Grow Rich. We have to be able to, if you can't conceive it in your mind, it will never appear in your bank account or in your life, right? So we need to envision it. And our brains, as you probably know, I'm sure, have 60 to 80,000 thoughts per day. So you can envision it and then it gets, covered up by a bunch of other shit. But we write it down. So it's a vision plan system. Everybody's heard of vision boards. It starts with the plan. So we write down, what's my vision? What are my goals? What's some short-term milestones that we can hit? What's a SWOT analysis? What are my strengths, weaknesses, opportunities, and threats? What's a strategic plan to get these things going? Write all that stuff down and then take that, put that on a vision board. Not just like, oh, this is a cool picture to cut out of this magazine, but like from your vision,
Yeah.
take that vision and make it visual, and then reverse engineer that back out of that plan and make it happen. That's real good coaching right there. And that's how you create success. So
I
you
was, I
can't
was going to
just,
say, like, that last 3 minutes, people, like, you can just cut that out, set it on replay, and set yourself up for a great life. And speaking of which, so you just came back from 3 months in Europe, right? So you're what we would consider to be a well-traveled entrepreneur. How do you manage a business and still enjoy life in the way that you do?
yeah, there's a lot of balance. I have to share this term that I heard. Well, it's been a couple of months now, but everybody talks about work-life balance. But I love, do you know Sad Guru?
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah. he said, he's like that. There is no work-life balance. It's all just life. The
Hmm.
balance has to come within you. When
Mm.
you're balanced on the inside, everything is just balanced on the outside. So I like that. But what I heard recently, because it's also 2024, we have so much going on and we have so many gadgets, so much technology, AI, everybody saying you need to do this in order to be happy, like all these things. And the better term is work-life rhythm. What
Mm.
my balance is might not work
Nice.
for you. We need to find a rhythm that works for us, with
Yeah.
us, our lifestyle, our family, our health, our finances. We're all in we're all having a different experience here. So we
Mm.
have to find a rhythm that works for us. And what my rhythm probably doesn't work for your rhythm. So for me, like we went to Spain because we had uh some stuff that we needed to take care of there. And she's getting her nationality. So we might be moving there full time. Like there was like stuff to do. So we went for 3 months to
Wow.
Valencia. And I
Nice.
was like, if we're going, because I live on the beach here in Mexico, and I was like, if we're going, I need a beach, right? And so that's how we landed in Valencia. But it's like, I was 2 blocks from the beach. I set up my meetings. I wake up, I always have me time. Right when I wake up, there's exercise, there's water, there's uh, getting focused and centered. For me, that involves my toes in the sand or outside somewhere. And then everything else comes after that. And then it's we're entrepreneurs. We're not business owners. We're firefighters.
Right. Always.
Every day is different, and it's like the idea is another thing I like talking about is to be prepared. Our things rarely go as planned, but preparation is what has real value. If we're constantly prepared, if we're moving from center, which, we always do the best we can on that, then we have a better shot at making things work.
So as you're like, what's the day in the life of now? You've got incredible clients. I mean, I'm looking at Epic Media. So it's again, guys, we'll have the link in the notes there, but it's Epic Entrepreneur Media. I'm looking at some of the brands that you've got on the page there. These are some of the biggest companies in the world that you've had the chance to work with, and I have no doubt that your voice on LinkedIn has funneled so many amazing people into your world as a result. Now we like it's amazing to me to hear your day starts with exercise, starts with getting outside, starts with getting centered. So tell me about a day in the life of Dennis Berry. Like, how does that day play out for you typically?
Well, I have like we have to balance what we were just talking about with the balance, the rhythm. So there's work, there's LinkedIn, which is where I spend that. I mean, that's where like most of my business comes from.
Yeah.
So I build those relationships there. Of course, we all have presence on all these other social media websites. We have some automated stuff. We have or evil automated stuff. I have assistants doing stuff and stuff, but nobody touches my LinkedIn. That's my stuff. So
Mm.
but I need time on LinkedIn. I have sales meetings. I have client meetings. I have work and writing that I need to do. So it's finding that rhythm.
Yeah.
It's different every day, but for the most part, it's pretty straightforward. I mean, I could show you my calendar. It's like I usually have 3 or 4 or 2 or 3, sometimes 4 sales meetings a day on a heavy day, and two 20 to 30 minutes, on that. I usually write for between 1 and 2 hours, and I, depending on like, what kind of work we need done. Um, and then I have client meetings, at least one a day, sometimes 2 per day. We kind of stagger those out quite a bit. And then like before we got on a call here, I was meeting with my team because we were working on some stuff that always pops up every day.
Yeah.
So, I mean, it's just entrepreneur,
It sounds pretty busy. Like there's a that's
very
a
busy.
a fair pace that you've set there, which is cool. What are the non-negotiables for you? So I've said to my team before that my non-negotiables are weird. Like my non-negotiables are if my kids have an event at school, I'm going. I don't care what else is on. I will cancel the biggest meeting of my life if my kids have got a certificate being presented. That's my non-negotiable. Like, what are some of the non-negotiables for you, Dennis?
Health,
Nice.
number one. health and relationships. Yeah,
Hmm.
everybody always talks about all these things, but there's every list, every listicle, or whatever you want to call it, of priorities, every list of priorities, always the first two are both number one, and it's health and relationships. And
Nice.
I let both of those go years ago, and I'll never do that again.
Mm.
They come before money, comes before anything else, is your health and relationships. And it's different for everybody, but for me, it's like I made health a big priority. Some of it is I'm a little crazy, and I used to use, so I have a lot of energy, especially now because before the show I made coffee. So I have a lot of energy, and I used to use drugs and alcohol to discipline my energy. And now I use diet and exercise and hydration and love and meditation and helping and nature to
So these
discipline my.
these soften your punches forward. Like if you're looking at an energy spike graph of Dennis Barrow, you're seeing boom, boom, spiking up, up. And the things that you mentioned there, meditation, love, family, connection, nature, these are kind of like softening the edges of those spikes, right? So it's like you mentioned you're using diet, exercise, love, nature to moderate your high energy. I love the fact that the things you mentioned there are almost like putting cushions on top of those spikes. It's like softening that drive forward.
Yeah, well said. That's really nice. I love that too. Um, and then the other thing that's really important is that I don't do it if I don't want to.
Yeah,
You
that's
know
it.
that it's a kind of a popular topic people talk about now, but saying no.
Yeah.
Uh, it took me a long time to get into that, and it's still hard sometimes. You know, I think like it's similar. It's called having healthy boundaries, and I think it gets easier as you get older. You know, I'm 52 now, and so you know, we all want, when we're younger, I think we want, especially now with Instagram and everything, we want to be liked. We all want to be somebody, so we do things we don't necessarily want to do or line up with our value system or whatever it is. But eventually, we're like, I don't want to do that, or I'm not going to do that. And I think having those healthy boundaries, sticking to what you do or don't want to do, and being passionate about what you do. Like, I love what I do. It's really all these memes that we used to hear, bumper stickers. It's like, when you love what you do, you don't work a day in your life. I mean, I get that now. It took a long time to really feel that, not just say it, but to really feel that. It's like when you land a deal, and even if you don't, it's like, I got to meet this person and I still love what I do. And
Nice.
you know, I don't have money problems. I don't have health problems right now. Luckily, you know, I don't have any like real big problems. And I think a lot of it is because I love what I do and I don't do things I don't want to do.
I love
Like
it.
if you're really unhappy, you have to look at why are you unhappy? You know, in my opinion, again, we could probably do a whole episode on this, and maybe you've done episodes on this. It's like Monday, and it's Monday, so I was reminded of it today. It's always a popular topic on Monday. It's like, if you're laying in bed on Saturday night or Monday morning with the sheets over your head because you're scared to get out of bed and do that thing that you have to do to pay the bills, it's because you're not doing what you're meant to do. You're not doing what you were meant to be doing here. So only two things can happen. It's like, one, go find another job, or two, build your own dreams.
Yeah.
And people are scared of that, but it's like, we're not supposed to be stressed out and full of fear and anxiety and like worried about who the president is and all these things that are drilled into our head with marketing and buzz and social media. We're not supposed to be that way. Our inherent nature is really happiness. And you know, and marketing plays a huge role in all the the problems and everything that's going on now. You know, it used to be, I mean, and we're just creatures, you know, and it used to be, we woke up in the morning, we're like, I have basic needs. I need food, water, shelter, and clothing. Like that was, and warmth. Like that's what I need. The thing is, we still have those same needs. Nothing's changed, but
Mm.
they're all met in excess. So now it's like, well, we wake up in the morning, it's like, all right, my needs are met. So now what do we do? So now we worry about stupid things that have no bearing on our life. And then we do things we don't really want to do, or we're bored, so we end up eating a bunch of crap that's making us sick and unhealthy, and then we worry about like some politician somewhere, or think what people I don't know think about me, or things like that, when really life isn't that hard.
It was never meant to be like that. I think so you've mentioned the words need and want in that last little section a lot. And I find I read something with Dan Sullivan in one of his books, 10x is easier than 2x. And he was talking about this kind of peaceful nature that he discovered when he was like, it's not about what I need. It's about designing, as you said, the vision plan, right? It's about designing what I want. And I was thinking, just before we jumped on, we were talking about moms and parents and, all that kind of stuff. And as an entrepreneur, what's interesting is like, I would say what I want the big house. I want the, on the beach. I want the travel, all that kind of stuff. And my parents are kind of like that last generation. And they're like, oh yeah, but what do you need such a big house for? And it was Dan Sullivan. It was like, no, mom, I don't need it. I don't need that big house, right? I need a cave where the rain doesn't come in and a fire at the back to keep myself dry. I don't need the big house, mom, but I want it. And so long as I'm a good person, so long as I actually can create and put out into the world really great stuff so that people are happy to pay me for that stuff that I put out, I can have whatever the damn hell I want. So long as I want it, I create the system to achieve it. That's entrepreneurialism. That's like, I want this. I need to create something in order to achieve it. So we're getting past that needs and wants thing. So I noticed that your spiritual journey, you're touching on Buddhism, and you're touching on a whole bunch of different things there. It seems like that kind of understanding of life has integrated with you. So I want to bring it back to some decisions that you've made. A couple of years ago, from what I'm seeing, you decided that LinkedIn was your thing. And I think when I look at your growth, it started like 2021, you had 1,500 LinkedIn subscribers. As we're recording this in September 2024, you have over 115,000 LinkedIn subscribers. Tell me about the decision and what happened between, yeah, this is my playground, to being now voted one of the top entrepreneurial voices in the world on this platform. Like, how did that decision align with what you were trying to create?
Well, I just saw it as the medium to get what you were talking about, all those things. It's like, I don't need these things, but I want these things. I want freedom. Really is what we want, is freedom. Money doesn't buy happiness, but it buys freedom, and that's really what I want. And, along with the freedom, it's like, I like going to the beach, and I like staying in nicer places, and I like eating good food. Like, the money contributes to that. So I saw LinkedIn as a means of getting that done. And when I started LinkedIn, it was years ago, but then I kind of crapped out a little bit, and then it was like 4 years ago or so, whatever. I started diving into it again, and I started building these relationships with these people, and I realized it wasn't just transactional. It was becoming like, I was becoming friends. Like, we were building friendships and relationships, and I wasn't growing at a big rate or anything like that. I would just hop on there, and then it became like, because we could talk about social media all day too, but those little red dots that you see, is like, you have a message, or whatever it is. It's like, that's dopamine. They know this. It's false dopamine hits that we get, and our brains go, somebody loves me. So we check. We're like rats in an experiment all day long. We're like checking back in for more red dots, more dopamine hits, and they know that, and that's why social media. There's 5 billion people using social media every day. So, but it was working that way for me. I was like, I was trying to figure some stuff out. I was in transition. I was splitting up my, I called marriage. We were engaged for 8.5 years, So I was kind of in a little crossroads back then too. So I was finding, like, I was building relationships there, and they were fulfilling. And it wasn't just business, but it was like filling me up in other ways too. And then all of a sudden I realized I was learning more things too. If you spend time on LinkedIn, because Instagram, I have 130,000 followers, which is like having 1 million on Instagram or on any other platform. These are more meaningful connections. They're professionally minded people with similar interests that we have. And like, that's what we're really looking for in life. We
Mm.
all crave these relationships. So I started realizing I could find them there. And so I started spending more time there. And if you spend time on LinkedIn, you'll become very intelligent in a lot of different areas just by osmosis, by spending time there. It's like, look, my background was a chef and then a lot of addiction recovery stuff. And then I also had a multi-million-dollar coin business. And so that I knew business, I knew some addiction recovery, but then you hang out on LinkedIn and all of a sudden you're a leadership expert. All of a
Right.
sudden you know about career development. And now
Yeah.
nowadays you're like, we're learning about AI every day, that you log on and you're like, oh, I didn't know AI did that. Wow, I can make a movie with ChatGPT. Like, so I started seeing it as a means to buy my freedom. How we talked about, right? It's like
Mm.
money gives you, it provides freedom. So I was like, wow. And then I started learning more about setting up your sales funnels and uh, seamless workflows, which is kind of what I do now. Is because every successful business in the world is set up as a sales funnel, successful business, right? So there's like people that come in the top of your funnel from somewhere. For me, it's LinkedIn because there's a billion people there. It's a great top of funnel. You know, it used to be years ago, decades ago, you opened a storefront and maybe you had 50,000 people in that area, not more, because if you had more, then there's competition. So maybe you only ever had between 10 and 50,000 potential clients. Now you have billions.
Mm.
So I started seeing that, get them in the top of the funnel. Now there's like ways to continue to connect with them, newsletters, low ticket items, lead magnets, all these things. And I was like, I love this. And
Wow.
so I started setting all those processes up and shooting them to different areas. And then it turned into my very successful business that's allowing me to travel around the world. I lived in Tahiti for 6 months a few years ago,
That'll do it.
down closer to you,
Right.
down
Okay.
by
Yeah, in Fiji.
down
Yeah.
in Tahiti.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So like how incredible to be able to have a billion people walk across your shop front. So now, as you mentioned, you love the building blocks now, where you go top of funnel, nurture sequences, automated systems, all that kind of stuff. One of the big things for your brand, for your current position in the world, is the newsletter that you're running. So your broadcasting is it weekly out to hundred thousands of people. You're
A
chatting about.
100,000. Is it 100,000? And yeah, weekly.
I think it's
If
113,000,
I'm
is it?
not traveling, then yeah, it's weekly. But
Wow.
weekly,
So you
yeah,
mentioned that you write for an hour to 2 hours a day. Is that linked to your blog, or is that the newsletter content that you're putting out there? Like,
yeah. Some of it is newsletter, some of it is emails, some of it is content for LinkedIn or
mhm.
Twitter or something like that. It's setting up the process. There's a lot of writing, which is amazing. I
Yeah,
mean,
right.
are you a writer too? Do you write a
I
lot?
I'm not. I'm a video guy. So I'll sit down with a video and just like blurt everything that I'm thinking and drop it into a recording system. But writing
Oh,
for me,
that's awesome.
yeah, no, it's just my outlet. But yeah,
Well, writing I found is uh, it's really everything. I mean, to go back to our 80,000 thoughts per day, which is almost one per second.
Mm.
You know, this goes back to a lot of the addiction and life mastery training that I used to do. But it's like, if we had 80,000 constructive, awesome, productive thoughts every day,
Wow,
how awesome would that be? That would be
wow,
amazing. But I would argue that, 99 or whatever percent are useless or even harmful. So what writing does, it really helps us to categorize our thinking. And it's like, oh, this is useless, this is dumb, this is harmful. Oh my God, why was I even thinking that? That could have
wow.
destroyed my relationship, or it could have
Mm.
destroyed something else. So writing is a really good way. And I have all my clients write, all the time. When I used to do the addiction stuff, because we have to remember addiction, we always think drugs, alcohol, those are the ones that everybody goes to, but food, porn, doom scrolling, uh, anything. There's so many, I call them distractions. Drinking's not my problem. It was what I was using to cope with my real problem, which is my thinking. Writing helps to ease a lot of that burden of thinking so much.
Right.
So I can really categorize my thoughts. One of the things I used to do is I would have my clients write down for me every night before you go to bed, and it could be after dinner or right before you close your eyes, the 4 and 4s. This is a really useful tool that everybody should use. You know, write this down yourself. But it's like every night before you go to bed, write down 4 things that went well today that you're proud of, 4 things that you did well, and then 4 areas where you fell short, where you can improve. And it's such a powerful exercise for a couple of reasons. One, it's slowing your brain down enough, right? 2, there's gratitude with the 4 things I did well. And then everything we do is a pattern of behavior, right? Everything that we do, the way we eat, the way we drink, the way we speak, the way we walk, everything's a subconscious patterns of behavior that we were taught over decades. And if we start seeing behaviors, areas where I fall short, if those start showing up for 2, 3, 5 days, a week or 2 weeks, now we have something to work on and improve. And that one thing could be the one thing that takes your business from 2 to level 10. So it's like, it's such a powerful exercise to do, to check in with yourself for self-reflection. It's really good.
I said I wasn't a writer, but I do journal every single day. And the 4 and 4 is I think so powerful. I do it in 3s, but 4s, why not go 4? Like that's why you're Dennis Berry, right? Because you've gone the extra one. But what I found super valuable as well, Dennis, just to kind of round that off as well. A lot of entrepreneurs that I talk to have this self-doubt and fear that kind of dominates their daily activity. You're looking at people going, you have something, this is the sign behind me, you have something really special. Just being an entrepreneur, you have magic in you, right? And a lot of people that I speak to are like, oh yeah, but I'm not that, I'm not this. What I've found with adding on to the 4 and 4 is at the end of the week on a Sunday for me, I do a weekly recap, and I'm literally recapping my wins. So I went through a whole bunch of depression, and that kind of stuff as well. And what got me out of the depression was a good friend of mine. He said to me, "Tell me 3 things that you're proud of in your life." And I had to think about it for a minute, and I was like, okay, I got a black belt. I worked hard to get my black belt done. I listed my things that I was proud of, and he said, "So you can do it." And I was like, whoa. That reflection back, and again, as an entrepreneur, sorry, I should be letting you do the talking, but as an entrepreneur, what I feel like is that we're constantly looking forward, right? We're constantly going goal, 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 achievement, achievement. And that means that we're never there. We're never actually feeling like we're fulfilled. So this exercise for me of looking back and going, look what you did look at your wins, dude. Look at this week. How many things have you ticked off? And every week, what I find for me personally is that gives me the confidence to go, you know what, man, I might not be at my destination. I might not be at my mountaintop right now, but look how far I've come, man. Like, and that's the padding that you can keep with you as you're going into the next battle.
Big time. I mean, like that was such a beautiful summary. In sobriety, that we talk a lot about our shortcomings and our character defects. And that I used to go to AA a lot, and I stopped because I think it's kind of a dead end. And I don't want to put it down because I went for years and it saved my life in the beginning for sure. But I think at some point it's like it's time to move on, because you can get addicted to AA just as much. But one of the list of reasons I left was, it's like when you go to these meetings that people sit there and talk about their shortcomings.
Yeah. I'm bad because
their defects of character. And it's like, I'm not just a big walking bag of character defects. There's a lot of good stuff there too. And we really need to focus. Yeah. I mean, if you have debilitating character defects, or even any you think that are like holding you back, like, let's talk about it.
Let's get it out of your head and let's deal with it.
Yeah. And then let's move beyond, move beyond it.
Yeah.
Let's not live in it for another 20 years. That's what got us here. Right. And so I don't like the staying stuck too long on one thing. And that's where accountability really comes in. That's the one thing they had really good, was they had that sponsorship is really good, because it's like, if we don't know something, ask for help. I'm huge on that. I say it in a lot of my posts all the time, and my newsletters, my content. I always talk about it. It's like, if you don't know how to do something, ask for help so you get there. Like, I don't know how old you are. I'm 52. We didn't always have Google Maps, right? We had to stop and ask for directions. And there was a stereotype for men. Men would never stop and ask directions because we didn't want to look stupid. I always stopped and asked for directions. I would rather look like an idiot for 1 minute and get there in 10 minutes than drive around like an idiot for 2 hours.
With my head in the sand.
Yeah, just tell me how to get there. So it's the same thing. It's like as I get older, it's like if I don't know something, we need to drop the ego and ask for help. So it's like I was taught have an expert in every area of your life. So I'm not a lawyer. If I need to go to court, I need a lawyer. If I get sick, I need a doctor. I hate doing my taxes, so I need an accountant or I'm going to get in trouble
Yeah.
every year. Right.
Yeah.
So, and maybe I'm not a spiritual giant. Maybe I need help with this business piece. Maybe I know business really well, but I don't know this piece. Like ask for help. There's a
Mm.
million of every type of coach out there nowadays.
And they're
Find
free.
some
Like a lot of that information, like having a paid
YouTube.
coach. There's like YouTube, bro, to see, I watch my kids do things on YouTube and like, how did you do? Oh, I watched a YouTube video. How incredible is it to have that information on demand? It's incredible. So think about that, like, guys, like, so for the business owners, for the entrepreneurs, for the people who are listening, listen to that message from Dennis there, right? So rather ask for help, look dumb for 30 seconds and get there quickly and look at all of the different areas of business. And you mentioned you have an accountant for your taxes, you have a lawyer for your legal issues. But let's look at all of the other different areas of business. There are things like team management, there are things like goal setting, there are things like sales, marketing, there are things like product, brand, all of that kind of stuff. You can get help with that. So you can either just put your head in the sand and go, I'll figure it out. I'll bust it. I'm a smart guy. I'm sure I'll make it. Or you can go, hang on a second, pause, research, YouTube. Oh, look at that. I'm 10 years ahead, like straight away. So
Or invest in, and I say invest in some sort of coaching, and I'm
accountability,
saying that,
coaching,
yeah, I'm a coach. So I mean, I want people to sign up for my services, of course, right?
yeah,
That's how I make my money. But uh, it's not a cost. It's an investment. It really is. And
yes,
that's not a sales pitch. It really is. It's like if you pay me $3,000 or $5,000 to tell you something that's going to make you $100,000. I mean, you
wow,
have to
that's
you
a
have to
no-brainer.
finance your dreams. Like that's what you have to think about. You have to finance your dreams. It comes at a cost. And if you don't want to spend that $3,000 or $5,000 and get there in the next 3 to 6 months, you could try to figure it out yourself, and it could take 5 years. And then at the end of the 5 years, you're going to ask for help anyway because you're tired of banging your head against the wall for 5 years.
You could have got
So
there
I tell
5 years
people,
ago. I like
yeah,
that. You have to invest in your future, invest in your dreams. You have to actually put it up. And getting a coach, like, again, there are so many of the great people out there that do what they do incredibly well. Get those people on your team. Like, pay somebody to be a fractional coach for you, and accelerating your success. Just freaking phenomenal, dude. So in the spirit of sales, startups, and side hustles, let me play a game with you. Knowing what you know now, you've created your own ability to learn your way out of any gap. You've learned, you've personally developed, you've read, you've listened, you've engaged, you've absorbed. So let me play a game in the startup and side hustle place. Let's say right now you lost it all. You had to start from zero. You were one of the people that are listening, going, I'm just 1 year in. I'm 3 months. I got to get out of my job. Like, I'm right at that beginning piece. I want to put that, like, you're on the starting square of the board right now, Dennis. Knowing what you know, you lost everything today. What would your first few moves be? How would you attack the market to achieve the dream that you've got in front of you if you had to start again from scratch?
build attention,
Tell me about that.
an audience. Like it's the number one thing. It's the most valuable currency on the planet right now, is having attention. So if you think that's always where I start too, because I have my big high ticket item, which I was telling you about earlier. It's called Epic Biz Launch. And that's where we launch your entire business in 1 week. It's
Beautiful.
everything from the business plan to the research to the testing to the website, the LinkedIn, the social media setup, your marketing, everything in 1 week. It's insane, but it's really expensive, right? And so most people create their high ticket item. That's on my that's like my big high ticket item, but I have another normally priced $3,000, $5,000 ticket, and most people do. Coaches, whatever it is, your offer that you're making, and most people go with, here's my post. I'm going to put up a post on LinkedIn, Instagram, TikTok, Facebook, whatever. Buy my stuff. I'm going to put up a post. I'm going to wait for the phone to ring so you buy my stuff. But why? Like, I don't know you. So the first step is to build attention. If you think about like Serena Williams or or Ronaldo or somebody, like, why can they start any business? They can start a clothing brand or a perfume brand because they have attention. The
Hmm.
number one thing, the number one place to start is to build attention. And once you have attention, a captive audience, then you can sell stuff and you can sell anything you want. So if you think about like Elon Musk has 200 million followers, whatever, but Tesla has like 20 million or 30 million, whatever. And then there's SpaceX, and then there's all these other, whatever else he's doing, right? Bill Gates has 100 million followers, but Microsoft has like 10 million. So you want to build your brand, and then you could start whatever you want. So the number one thing is to start building attention, build relationships. One thing I hate is those get rich quick schemes,
Mm.
and we all see them in our feeds or whatever your social media is, make 6 figures a month or a week. Yeah, make
I
six
mean
figures
it.
a month, working in your underwear, 1 hour a day on your phone without leaving the house. And it's like people buy into that and they're preying on these people. And it pisses me off because there's no shortcuts.
Yeah.
There's people are looking for shortcuts because they don't know how to do the work, or they don't want to do the work. So they're looking for the shortcut. The shortcut is building relationships. It's building a foundation. That's the shortcut.
Yeah.
And it takes a little bit of time, so like every once in a while, like you hear about Mr. Beast or some other little 16-year-old kid that sells an app and gets lucky or something like that. The rest of us, it takes a good 2 to 5 years to build a stable, profitable business. So two
I
to five
agree.
years.
And I think for the people hearing that and going, I don't have 2 to 5 years. Yeah, you do. You do
You
have
do.
5 years because the time's going to pass anyway. So you need to start. Like I, I love the side hustle part of our podcast, like startups, side hustles. It's like build your attention, build your brand, build your audience, post about what you're learning about because chances are excellent that your audience are wanting to learn the same thing. So even if you don't have a following, learn from people like Dennis, come and absorb like the newsletter and stuff, and then jump on a camera and talk about it. Hey, I just saw this great post, blah, blah, blah. As you're learning, your audience is growing with you as well. And yeah, you do have time because 2 to 5 years is going to pass anyway. And what I always say to people, like, if you need to pay your bills today, like start up a side hustle, right? Go and get a job, go and stack shelves, whatever it is. I always try and recommend don't do a job that takes too much of your time so that you've got headspace to think about your real business, but go and get your bills paid and build your brand and your attention and start to actually be present in the audience. And if you're shy, man, use it. Dennis, I did an interview with one of the top YouTubers in the world, and he has a faceless YouTube channel with 14.5 million subscribers, getting 60 million views on a video, and he's never been on camera. It's like,
Really?
dude, you don't have to be on camera to build an
No, and now
audience.
there's AI
Hey
preachers.
Jen and all of these amazing AI tools. You can be anybody online. You can be the hidden figure behind the scenes of building a multi-million dollar
Yes,
brand.
just anything, and it doesn't even have to be anything crazy. So in my like, I raised a boy with autism, and for 9 years I spent with her. Like I raised this boy. He had real autism, not like a little on the spectrum, like real
Yeah.
autism.
Yeah.
And so he watched these YouTube videos of these people doing product reviews on Disney uh, figures.
Yeah. Yeah.
And these kids were getting like 100,000. They showed them like opening up this package. He goes, we're going to open the package now, and this is what it says on the front, and this is what it says on the back, and this and this and that. And they would get like 100, 200,000 views, and they had like dozens of videos. They were making money doing product reviews. So I mean, there's so many opportunities right now, which will stop soon. At some
Yeah.
point, especially with AI, because I mean, we could talk about all this stuff forever, but this. I mean, like when you create a site, you need to index it, you need to do SEO, you need to do all these things, blogging, having articles with good copy and all the links and all the stuff that you need to do. I mean, we used to have to spend a lot of time to write that crap. It
Right.
takes a lot of
Yeah.
time to write really good copy. And AI is pumping out 100 articles in like 5 minutes that are good quality content. So, I mean, things are going to start changing soon. And I even say, like, what a unique, amazing time it is to build an online business. And you
Mhm.
could do it as a side hustle. Like I said, what we said earlier, you have to finance your dreams. If you have to have a job right now to pay for your dreams, that's what it is. It's a means to an end. Nobody stays
Seeds.
at the same job for 30 years and retires anymore. You're not going to do that either. It's like that's not how it works anymore. It's a different world now. But so finance your dreams, however you need to do that. But you can do that, you know, with a side hustle. You know, do the
Absolutely.
side hustle and make a few bucks on that. Watch your spending. Learn how to invest intelligently. I mean, there's so many opportunities, but eventually some of the opportunity is going to start to go away, because it used to be that there were, 2 billion people online. Now there's 5 billion people online. And it used to be there wasn't so much regulation. It's starting to creep up a little more. You don't need any certifications or licensing to be a coach, but you're gonna at some point. The government's gonna want their greedy little paws and fees and certifications and licensing and all that stuff. In the next 10 years, that's gonna be a real thing. So it's a unique opportunity. If you're not paying attention and diving in right now, I recommend you do
I
that.
highly encourage you to do so. Like I think you're right that the opportunity to be a voice is going to be diminished over the next few years because of AI, because of the proliferation of mass amounts of data coming in. So if you can build even an audience of 5,000, 10,000, 15,000 in the next 6 months, 12 months, whatever it could be, you have something unique. You're going to be that kind of spearhead as the rest of those waves crash behind you. So man, I love it. Building attention, creating opportunities, setting goals, going out and getting it done, building a life around your design. Dennis, like I love your message, man. I love your message. What's next for you? What are we seeing on the horizon for Dennis Barry? What are we seeing on the horizon for Epic Media? Where are you guys going?
I really haven't looked that far ahead. Uh, to That Epic Entrepreneur Media started because I didn't do what I tell everybody else to do. And you always want to begin with the end in mind, right? You need like an exit strategy.
Yeah.
And I was building me, Dennis Barry, but I can't sell dennisbarry.com. I mean, really I can't, unless you become like Tony Robbins, but I'm not, I'm Dennis Barry. So I came up with Epic Entrepreneur Media. I'm the Epic Entrepreneur. I'm the old ski racer, beach bum guy who's built this life. And so I love it. It's just my vibes. So I built that, and I'm really just focused on that. I love doing what I'm doing right now. I don't know. I can't answer that. Right now I'm in the moment, I guess is the way to answer that.
Nice.
And
you're having fun doing what you're doing, and
I am.
expanding other companies or people that are working with you. Like, why should somebody come to Epic Entrepreneur Media? Like, what kind of business is going to come to you, and you're going to be able to take them, to their next level?
My target is early stage entrepreneurs and solopreneurs. I don't
Beautiful.
like dealing so much with the CEOs and enterprise level companies. It's just not my thing. It never was. But I like helping people. First of all, I like helping people because
Full stop.
that's, yeah, because we're all supposed to do that. That's like human. And I like helping people figure it out, because it took me a long time to figure out how to do what I'm doing. And the truth is like, whenever you start a business, you want to have that help. And even with the help, it's still going to take you time to figure it out.
Mm.
I don't care who you are. It's still going to it still takes time to figure your business out. What your niche, your offering, your fee structures, your like exact demographic, like everything that you need to learn in order to make it flow. It takes time. And so it took me a lot of time, a lot of resources, a lot of wasted both of those things. And so what I love to do is help people not have to waste so much time and money to get that job done. And so that's my focus. It's like, I want
Beautiful.
people to come to me because I'm going to teach them, one, how to build attention. I don't lead with my let me build your whole business thing, because most people can't afford it. What I lead with is, let's start building attention. Let me teach you how to write content that attracts your ideal people and creates a buzz, and then start building your attention and building relationships. Then we can do, from there, we do some outreach. From there, we create your funnel. We create that seamless workflow. You need to have a seamless, simple workflow. And simple is hard. It's hard to set simple up. And so I like to help people set simple up. And so that means like, setting up a workflow means it's the point of contact to the point of purchase. So if you're writing a post, that's the first point of contact. And then most people go from read my post to buy my stuff. And there's a whole bunch of stuff, and that's called a workflow in the middle. And that workflow needs to be seamless. If there's any hiccups, then they're gone. And they're never going to come back. They're going to go find somebody with a seamless workflow. So I like to help people set up that workflow. And it's
Nice.
not too hard, but it does take you an understanding of business, which is, that's my offering, right? And to have somebody with you along the way. And then what I have is Epic Entrepreneurs. So Epic Entrepreneur Media is the media website, but then I have groups, and one of them is Epic Entrepreneurs. And that's it's groups. There's about 50 or 60 influencers and entrepreneurs. And we all support each other, and we have meetings every Wednesday, and sometimes there's 5 people, sometimes there's 25 people, and we support each other. So you're not doing it
Amazing.
alone.
I love
Yeah.
that.
And so that's the most important piece, is like, don't try to do everything by yourself, because you can't.
Yeah.
You
one
can't
one
do it.
person doesn't make a marketplace, Jim Rohn. So you need the marketplace to survive. You need, and don't do it yourself. Like, there's, to be a member of something like that, Epic Entrepreneurs, to be even tapped in on as a subscriber, to hear the commentary. Like, you're not by yourself. There are millions of people out there entrepreneuring their way to an ideal dream lifestyle, and you get to be connected and part of that as well. Dennis, I love who you are in the marketplace. I love who you are on the planet. And this has been a really, truly enjoyable time for me, man. I'm looking forward to keeping in touch. So guys, I'm going to make sure that all of Dennis's links are right below the show. Reach out, say hi, let him know that you heard the episode, and some of the things that he's commented to you. I hope that you get to go back and re-listen to this, find your true place, point, and meaning on this planet, drive and deliver exactly the value that you have inside of you out to the marketplace, and be rewarded for it. And Dennis, again, man, thank you so much for the chance to come and hang out.
Yeah, thank you, man. I would like to do it again sometime, because I think we can keep going.
I think so too. Yeah, let's do a follow. I think this would be a great thing to move forward with people. I love it, man. Thank you, bud. Take care. We'll speak soon.
All right, adios.
Cheers, man.